When you're building cities in Minecraft, large buildings can be super impressive, but it's the collective of small builds that makes a city truly immersive. In the last episode, we worked on building a street lined with small dwarven businesses, and in today's episode, I wanted to expand the street by adding some medieval row houses as well as a little market square in the center where the dwarves may shop at. So in between episodes, I've been working on some of the interiors for this kind of dwarven street we've been building. This one is supposed to be a tavern, and then this one's supposed to be an inn. It's kind of combined in the center by this little bridge pathway, which I think makes sense. But in the inside, we made a little villager breeder here because I'm currently breeding all my villagers in the iron factory right now, and they've been kind of walking into the flames, I think, because they've been a little kind of disappearing. So in the last episode, I asked for some name recommendations for the tavern or inn here, and we got one from Organic Oma that called for the Hard Rock Inn, kind of like the Hard Rock Cafe in real life. But I didn't want to take that directly from the real life, so I named it the Tough Rock Tavern because it is made out of a lot of tough on this side and a little bit on this side as well. But I think kind of having this villager breeder in here makes sense because after a good night in the tavern, sometimes kids come out of it. But on this side we have the actual inn, so I did a little bit of the interior. I'm not fully done with it. This side I'll probably add like a common living space, and then this would be either a room or maybe some bathroom. I do want to eventually build kind of a sewer system for this city, but you'd come here and then there'd be some rooms here. One little neat thing that I've been doing, I wanted to leave some of the actual environment into the build still. So these little dripstone stalagmites, stalactites, whatever you call them, I left it in here and I just etched into it to create this stairway. And so you can come to the second floor here where you'll have some more bedrooms for the guests to stay in. And then you'll climb up to the third floor and then there'll be more rooms here. And then I'll close this place off with a window. But I think that's a pretty neat little trick to kind of add the environment that, the dwarves don't really care to finish something. So a lot of the flooring you'll notice as well, like I'm going to leave a lot of it as stone because, dwarves love stone. So there's really no need for them to break it all down and put in new flooring. So in the last episode, I asked for some recommendations on what to do with this building and this building, and I got a lot of recommendations. But this one, I ultimately decided to just do my own thing, and I chose a post office. So here we've got a little mailbox with a trash can, and I think it makes sense because right at the beginning, right at the entrance of the city, you can kind of drop your mail in, and then if you need something mailed out, the carrier is right at the entrance, so they'll have some like horse-drawn wagons to bring all the mail out. And we did start working on the interiors. I held a man hostage in here. I'm using these rails to prevent them from escaping, so I guess we can let him kind of wander free now. But this is a tiny little post office. These are little postcards, and then you can drop your mail inside if you feel more safe that way. Some things that probably be selling, postcards, envelopes, things like that. And then he's supposed to be the shopkeeper here, so he'll be the mailman that we have. But adding these small little interiors is super nice. It adds a lot of immersion to this area. One thing I'm not sure about doing is adding interiors for the top side. The top side clearly is not fully done. But I'm not sure I'll actually do all of the interiors. I do want to do interiors for, things on the bottom. I think it makes a little sense for the bottom, which you can kind of look through the window and see the interiors. It adds a lot of immersion. But up top, you don't really see anything. So I'm not too sure I'll be doing that. But, if I ever get into streaming, maybe that might be a good idea to do some interiors just for whoever wants to download these worlds and, kind of walk through it and feel immersed. And then in here, we've got a bookstore. Gotta get rid of this bed here. But this little bookstore would be kind of for dwarves to kind of live in. I'm gonna trade with this guy to get some glass because I do really need some glass. If you watched my last video, it did pretty well. It's transparent map art. I do want to eventually add a lot of transparent map art. Maybe not a lot because it does cause lag, but it does add some really nice details for interiors. But here's a little cozy little sofa for you to read your books in. And then once again, upstairs, nothing. And then for this building, I did follow your comments, a lot of armor smiths and weaponsmith recommendations. So this one, we've got an armor smith. So you come in here and there'll be some guy right here selling you some armor. This is supposed to be kind of a helmet. You need some, you know, imagination when you're building interiors. But he's got some displays for all the armor, a little bargain bin right there for you to look in. So you can do a little bit of window shopping here by looking through the window. But on the interior living space, we've got this right here. So for those who don't know, for armor smiths, a lot of times when you make armor, in medieval times at least, you would take an iron ingot and you would flatten it out into a iron sheet, and then you would shape the sheet into whatever you're making, like iron van braces or iron chest plates, whatever the like. And the process of making armor is actually multi-step. So you would actually have an armor smith make the armor, and then they would send the armor off to another business, which I'm probably gonna be building over here. But you'd send it to a polisher to make it shine, and then you would send it to a leather worker to add the straps and whatnot to make it wearable. And then you'd send it right back here, and then they would be selling the armor themselves. But man, this street is really starting to feel pretty immersive just walking through like this. I do want to add quite a few more businesses, so we'll add a few over on this side today. All right, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to build exactly yet, but I do know that I need a lot of resources, and I don't have a lot of resources anymore. So we're going to do a little build montage, or we're going to do a little resource gathering montage rather, and we'll come back and get this build done. All right, so we're done gathering our resources, and if you liked those little montages, do let me know. I'm trying to see if I want to keep incorporating them into these episodes. Maybe not every single episode, but whenever I do need to do some gathering material montages, you know. But for this episode, like I was saying, we're going to be adding a little street here to kind of add the more immersive vibe. So I think what we'll do is we're going to kind of extend the street here a little bit. Gotta save my cobbled deep slate here, so we're gonna throw in some basalt here occasionally, and then only use some cobbled deep slate slabs. But we're gonna extend the street all the way over to this direction, and then we're gonna kind of wind through this way, and then we'll probably stop around here because the iron factory is right here, so I don't really want to run into that. I think it'll probably be a dead end right about here. We're gonna tear down some of these like dripstone here, and then put down this road. All right, so we knocked down some terrain and added this kind of basalt and cobbled deep slate street here that's kind of winding down this way. So we'll probably have it stop right around here, but we'll add a little more later. You know, it'd be a really cool idea actually. So right here is kind of like a hot spring looking thing. So I think what I might be able to do actually is I might be able to kind of corner this spot right here and turn it into kind of a geothermal vent, or geothermal, you know, hot springs, because hot springs come from like geothermal heat. So maybe that'd be kind of a cool idea actually, to have like a geothermal vent around this area, and then it's kind of becomes a hot spring. So it's a spot where people can come and take a like bathe and shower, and it kind of makes sense since there's like a big old inn right there. So maybe I can do that. Maybe not for this episode specifically. Maybe I'll probably be doing like a pretty large terraforming video one day, and this will be kind of incorporated. But all right, so with our street actually placed, we can start to line the street with actual buildings. So I think we'll have one building right here, and then probably another one right here, and then a third and a fourth one probably down this street here. But we want to keep all the builds pretty diverse, so they're going to be kind of staggering heights. So this one, I'm thinking I want to have actually connected to the ceiling, because I mentioned in the last episode that roofs don't really make sense for a dwarven build since it's in a cave, so there really would be no point in roofs. This one being connected to the ceiling would make more sense, and then we'll kind of stagger the heights a bit, and then we'll change the palette of the builds in order to add some diversity to the building as well. So we're going to do a similar layout where the bottom section is a business and then the top section is living space. All right, so we got the first build done here, but it kind of ended up being two different separate builds. So I guess we'll be probably making like 6 buildings total. I'm not sure if I'll do all of them in this episode, but for now we're going to start with these two. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier about the roofing. So all the other builds have an actual roof on top of them, but like I was saying, roofs don't really make sense in a cave because most times slanted roofs are for to avoid rainfall and snow accumulation. So in a cave, you won't have roofs necessarily. So this build is a little different because it's got no roof. It's just goes straight to the ceiling, and then there's just a little protruding section just to kind of signify the between the build and the actual cave. But since we're in a cave, we don't actually have to do too much lighting with the texturing. So for these builds, I didn't really texture them in a way that I did with the guild hall. So if you remember with the guild hall, we did this little thing where we had the shadow parts covered with darker blocks, and then the parts that would be exposed to sunlight through this hole would have lighter blocks, and then it kind of goes shading into the darkness. But for these builds, I'm not too sure what we're actually going to be putting inside them yet. Obviously, there is no interiors, but there ends up being like 3 different shop fronts, because there's this bottom shop front, and then there's a second shop front here, which is also empty. And then you come up here. I'm gonna trim that glowberry in a bit, but then this will be the third shop front. But if you go to the side here in the corner, we did try to attach it to our starter base so that it's not just kind of standing off alone, but you can kind of come up here and you got a second story and then a third story here, which we are probably not going to fill up just because I won't actually be doing the interiors on the top side. And then if you look here, obviously we didn't fill out the side because it's going to get covered. And you know, I'm trying to save some materials if I don't actually build it. But we did add some mechanical bits here to kind of show the dwarven appeal. But yeah, anyways, if you have any ideas for what to put in these 3 different shops, let me know. I do want to have a polisher for the armor, and then I do want to have a leather worker as well. But we will be adding a few more buildings off to the side here, so there's plenty of opportunity for everyone's ideas to be incorporated into this build. And since we're not going to be actually building the interiors for the top side, I did add these copper bulbs in place for the lights. So it kind of looks like it's lit up on the outside. And you know, it's really good for prop work. In this case, those windows are trapdoors, so you can look into them. So maybe I'll do a tiny bit of interiors for that, but for the meantime, I'm just having like these little torches right next to the trapdoors to kind of show off that light as well. But with these two builds done, you can kind of get an idea of what the rest of the street will look like. So we're gonna start building the rest of them, and they're gonna be all kind of different shapes and sizes and different colors as well. So apparently a wandering trader has spawned nearby. So we're gonna try to look for him. So one of the downsides of living in a cave here is that I'm pretty sure that wandering traders need open sky to spawn. So I'm not exactly sure where they spawned. They're probably not in the city. Like if we look at our map, we've got some mobs right around here. I think this is our villager breeder, and then this is our iron farm. So they should be on the outside or right underneath this gaping hole. So if he's anywhere, he's either probably at the front entrance or he's probably on top of the mountain. And yep, there he is. So let's see if he's got anything good for us. And there's absolutely nothing, just some mini blocks. I don't actually have like an emerald farm yet. I don't have a lot of emeralds, so I'm gonna hold off on buying some of these mini blocks. I could probably use the leads, but I'll let them slide for now. But anyways, the build is finally done and it's looking pretty sick, I would say. I just need to trim these glowberries a little bit to stop them from growing. But it's a little overhanging over there. But anyways, here's the build, and I need to light it up there. Come here. Ooh, and a cat. All right, I really do need to light it up because let's see, without my Fulbright on, what's it look like? There. Without Fulbright, this is what it looks like. So we will need to add some lighting up the top there, and then we'll add probably a few more lamp posts kind of surrounding the area. One of the issues with living in a cave here is that these lanterns only go so far. They look really nice, but when you start scattering them everywhere, it starts looking kind of ugly. So that's why I started incorporating these glowberries, which I think would make sense in a dwarven society. You know, glowberries would probably be a vital resource for the dwarves in the cave. Serving as a light source as well as a food source. So we'll probably also build like a glowberry farm somewhere around here where, you know, to explain some of the food, to solve some of the food issues for the dwarves. But here is our third building. It's looking pretty cool. Now there should be no gaps, right? So I wanted to do this little bit of like a diagonal. It's not a diagonal, it's more of a corner build. But it looks pretty good, I would say. But you come inside, it's a pretty small interior as usual. This one's actually kind of larger than others. So this one I imagine would be a profession that makes a little more money, something that the dwarves would kind of want a little more. So they have a larger shop space and then a larger living space up top. I do need to figure out what I want to put in here. So give me ideas once again. And then we'll put like some title names for some of these shopkeepers here. And then we'll probably try to insert some villagers as well. That'd be kind of a nice way to turn this into a usable spot. Maybe it won't be like it'll be kind of like a small villager trading hall area, but with some more aesthetic builds. And then here we went with a little diagonal build with some mud bricks, some granite, and then up top contrasting some super white blocks, mainly birch and calcite and diorite. That's the word I'm looking for. But this one is at a 45-degree angle, and I think for the space it actually worked out pretty well. It's pretty compact, and we used some stairs to make this tiny window that some of the buildings don't actually have. Like this one only has this tiny window right here, but some buildings like this one have no windows on the interior, on the middle. And then last but not least, we have a little tower thing. I wish I had some fish to feed these cats. This roof here, I'll probably change it or I'll probably change the bricks here. I think the contrast is a little too much here with the black. Oh. Fell into my iron farm. Yeah, so I think I'll probably knock this part out. This one was kind of like, I didn't really think too much about this part just because I don't really think I'll be going back here. As you can tell, the shop front is just empty. But I'll probably change out the deep slate because I think it's a little too dark for the roofing here. But this is either its own shop or this is combined with this shop. So if I do that, then in that case, I'll mix them. It kind of looks, it's like a tower. So maybe like a potion tower or something like that. And then of course, since these are dwarves, I did try to add some small mechanical parts. I didn't add too many just because I don't want to overdo it. But there is like small little mechanical parts. Maybe this is like an air conditioner or something that, the dwarves do. This as well. It's like some piping. I don't know. Yeah. It is a little difficult to add a bunch of like mechanical parts to all these things. So if you have any ideas of what else I can add to the exteriors to make it a little more, steampunky and like diesel punky, do let me know. Next time I'll probably split up the builds because, man, this was actually a lot of work. I mean, obviously it's a bunch of small little builds, but when you combine them all together into one episode, it ends up being quite a behemoth of a project, especially with the block variety. One of the biggest issues I have building stuff like this is inventory management, or rather inventory mismanagement. Half the time is spent kind of juggling materials. And so I know we already did a lot of building, but I want to do one more build, which is working in this area, which will be a little marketplace for the dwarves to just kind of shop at, because they're already shopping at all these stores here. But there's going to be a little tiny farmer's market, or whatever you want to call it, a little marketplace where they sell small goods right around here. And with the inventory management issue, I've actually prepped a little bit for this build by creating some bundles here that has a lot of the small materials that you'll use in a lot of those small little builds here. But I want to have a fountain right around here commemorating my 4,000 subscribers, because I actually got 4,000 subscribers a few days ago. I'm quite behind on this video, to be honest, but it's all good. 4,000 subscribers is kind of a weird number to commemorate, but I wanted to build like little statues or fountains and stuff like that in honor to like my subscriber count. And I just so happen to hit 4,000, so we're gonna dedicate this one to 4,000. But in the future, certain milestones I want to do, maybe like a statue or a tree in dedication to the subscribers. So the first thing to do for this actual marketplace is actually filling in all of these little spots where it's kind of empty. I want to work on a flat land when I once again ran out of materials. But yeah, so we want to work with some flat land. So filling it in with some stone bricks kind of adds like this idea that they pave in certain parts. I do want to leave the cave floor kind of like it is, but I probably will take out some parts here just to add this little bit of stone bricks. So it kind of shows that they're paving it over and turning it into an actual marketplace, filling up some gaps and holes, and makes it look a little more manufactured as well. So I've come up with a pretty neat design, I think, for this fountain. So we're gonna use a tough bottom for the bottom side of the fountain. And then we want to add these like chiseled tough bricks in order to add a little more interest and like intricacy to the actual fountain itself. And then, so it's gonna be kind of a big fountain in this sense. Like, look at that. This is the base of the fountain. And then we'll have a centerpiece here. So there's gonna be like a pedestal right here, which will just be some stone bricks. And then, so here will be kind of a pedestal. I think what I did was this. So have some upside down stairs here. Oh my God. And then we'll have some upside down stairs here to kind of create the little lip of the fountain. Oh, all right. So here is the actual pedestal where the statue itself will go on top of. I do want to have some lighting. So I think we'll take some shroom lights and then we'll kind of put them on the bottom here occasionally. That way it'll kind of emit some light into the area. I think just something like this will suffice. And then it's gonna get covered in water, so you won't really see it. I do want that block. I'm broke. And then we just need to put our water in. And then get a full block there. Bam. So now we got that, and then you just put some water there to get the water flowing. This is why I put the stone brick walls right here to prevent the water from spreading out. Because if you just put the water right there, the water would shoot out from the sides as well, and then you wouldn't have this nice little fountain look. But bam, so there's a little fountain. And now the thing is to add the little centerpiece on the top. And for the centerpiece, we're going to be doing an anvil, which is super on brand for the dwarves. And we're going to do it out of copper. So let me go grab some copper blocks and place this anvil in. And of course, since this is a commemoration build, we're going to put 4,000 subscribers. And then this happened a few days ago. So let's put January 2nd, 2025. Bam. There you go. If I had a glow ink sack, I'd glow it up, but I don't have one right now. So we'll eventually get one for that. And then see, I think this is kind of cool because, you know, when you see statues and stuff like that, sometimes they'll have a plaque, you know, kind of commemorating something or someone. And I think this is a cool way to honor, you know, other people. This is supposed to be kind of a forever world that's going all popular right now. And that's honestly the way I like to play. When I want to go to a new area, when I'm feeling a little burnt out building in this area, I want to go out to another area and, you know, kind of construct another city or start another city. And that way I'll have like multiple projects, because when I went from the ferry location to here, I was feeling a little burnt out. So that's why I kind of transferred over here. But I do want to go back to the ferry area because it was a super fun build style, I must say. And then I've kind of grown with my build style over the years, or just over these last few months. I think I've gotten a little better, and I have some good ideas for that ferry area eventually. But I also have a few ideas for other cities as well, which is going to be quite a lot to have on my plate, but that's all good. And then the last thing we need to do to make this a little more lived in, a little more cozy and, you know, immersive, is adding little stalls where the dwarves might shop at. Stalls that maybe, you know, they're unable to afford a shop front, so they just have carts, like a medieval marketplace, like a flea market, stuff like that. And then, yeah, so we're going to have it lining the street here with maybe some lamp posts as well to provide a little more light to the area. And then, yeah. All right, so we're going to do something a little different. We're going to have the before shot right here and the after. Bam. Super immersive. I do need to add some lamp posts still. That is one thing I'm lacking still, but we have some stalls surrounding the fountain. So this stall right here, I don't know what they're selling right now. They're just selling some firewood and then, I don't know, silk, whatever. This one, there's not much in there. I need to put probably some like bone meal or something like that in there just to fill it up a little bit. But they're selling something. And then there's this thing. This guy right here, whoever this is selling some little crystals. Maybe like some bootleg crystals or some lower end crystals, because I do want to have one of these shops selling some like expensive stuff. And I think crystals, these amethyst shards, would kind of work over there. Actually, fun fact about these amethyst shards, in my world building series, I have a plan for these things. These are, I think in my fairy episode, one of my fairy episodes, I talked about fairies were mining amethyst and they would sell it to the elves. It's one of the main exports to the elves because the elves use a lot of amethyst. So that's a very, very future build. I'm not sure where exactly I'll be building that city, but I do have some rough ideas in mind. And honestly, that probably won't be for quite a while. But you know, the dwarves also have a hand in the amethyst trade as well. This little stall right here is selling some potatoes. And then this is a nice little neat trick. So there's actually a lava in there, and it does emit, I'm pretty sure at least it emits light. Yeah, see? So there's lava in there. So that's one way to add a little bit of light to the area. This area definitely needs some light right around here. So we'll probably add a lamppost there. And then they're selling some mushrooms, jars of mushroom. I don't know, maybe you can make wine with mushroom. I have no idea, but it's kind of lining the street. So if you kind of walk down the street, bam, all these little tiny market stalls for you to shop at. All right, so I did add in some lights here, one lamppost here and then a diagonal lamppost over there, because I wanted to show you what it looked like with shaders on. Taking a minute for it to load here, but bam. So this is complementary shaders. I have the cave setting up to super bright. That way you can actually see stuff with the shaders, but man, the shaders really do add quite a lot to here. One thing I do want to do is kind of have some villagers wandering around this area, but at the moment, I'm not going to do that yet because I do have some lighting issues that I need to address. But man, it is looking absolutely sick. So I do need to bring the road a little towards here, and then maybe I can just cut it. But I could also bring the road down this way into like a back alley and just have buildings right here. That way you can still kind of have the road going, or I just cut it off as a dead end right here. And then like I was talking about, I think I want to do a bit of a geothermal vent right here that kind of has some hot springs here for them to shower in. And there it is with shaders off. But that's all the time we have for today's episode. Like I was saying, if you have any ideas for what you would like to see in the interiors, as well as maybe some shop names, do let me know in the comments down below. And if you're new, do subscribe. It really does help out a small channel like mine. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye for now.